It's here, you guys. The BitBox02 Bitcoin Only Edition by ShiftCrypto. And in this video, I'm going to let you know whether I would recommend it and what is good about this wallet, as well as what is not good about this wallet. First and foremost, most important thing to share is to let you know that I was not paid in any way by ShiftCrypto for this review. In fact, I asked them if they would cover just the editing costs of the video, and they made it clear they have a policy of not paying and not money changing hands in any way, shape, or form because they feel it would make me biased. It wouldn't, but that is totally fine, and I appreciate and respect it. They did provide me this review unit free of charge, and they had no say in anything I'm going to say in this review. Throughout this video, I'm going to share some of the features that I feel are most important and whether or not ShiftCrypto is delivering on those features and functions. I'm going to let you know the things that I like and the things that I don't like so much. You can check out the chapters below to see the different topics that I cover. This is in no way a comprehensive review, but just my thoughts on the ShiftCrypto device and what I like and do not like about it. Stick around to the end because I will give you my conclusion on whether or not you should pick up this wallet. And if you'd like to support the channel and cover those editing costs, I would so appreciate if you use the affiliate links below for all the different wallets that I recommend. ShiftCrypto was kind enough to set me up with an affiliate account in the event that I did want to recommend this wallet, but I also have affiliate links for all the other popular wallets that I have tested and that I do recommend. So without any further ado, let's start off with a gratuitous unboxing. All right, setting up the BitBox. I've downloaded the Mac OS desktop app. First and foremost, I love that they have a desktop app like Trezor and Trezor Suite. It's not browser based. And let's go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to take the device itself, the BitBox02, and plug it in right here. And let's go ahead and see what happens. Maybe I'll use the extension cable that they've provided just so it's a little bit easier to see the device. We are plugged in and we are met with a nice little black and white screen. First thing I need to do is install the firmware, and I am automatically going to wonder, how am I verifying that it is the real firmware? Let's see. It gave me an opportunity to flip the screen, which I didn't do. I should have done that. And on the screen, I see BitBox02 Bitcoin Only Edition installing the firmware. Now, the reason I'm a little concerned in general, not with BitBox specifically about firmware, is there have been cases where people have intercepted, you download the wrong app for your Trezor or whatever wallet, and you can lose your funds. So it's always very important with all of these hardware manufacturers, one, to make sure that the device hasn't been tampered with. Historically, Trezor does this where they put the little holographic sticker on it. BitBox was actually vacuum sealed, which is another way to solve the problem, but also just that the software is the correct, real, authentic software. BitBox did not give me any opportunity to do that and verify, but it is giving me a pairing code that unfortunately we're going to have to blur out to verify that the device is paired correctly. Unconfirmed pairing. Let's go ahead and replug our BitBox, and we'll tap the device. And it actually wants me to verify the pairing code on the device by tapping this little touch button. Great. I would love if they explained to me what that did and why that was important. I'm a really big advocate of explaining to people why and how these things are securing us. They recommend that I proceed in a secure location, so probably not recording a YouTube video while I do this, but let's go ahead and create a wallet. I love that I can restore from recovery words, meaning I can import from any other wallet, I assume, but also that I can Yeah, it's asking me if I want 12, 18, or 24 words. So that's fantastic. I love that I can restore other wallets into this. But let's go ahead and create a wallet. All right. When we create a wallet, it is going to request that we put in the provided micro SD card. So let's go ahead and do that. Excellent. And we'll set up a wallet. Now we just need to confirm the name. Again, this is similar to how Trezor operates. It's asking me to confirm everything that I do on the device itself, which is important because the computer could have been tampered with, but the device itself has not been tampered with. It is now going to ask me to set a password, and it's actually having me do that on the device, which is a little bit frustrating because the device is incredibly tiny, as you can see in their visualization here. But let's go ahead and give it a try. Now, it's important to note, this is not a touchscreen. So you're using little tap buttons, as you can see on the video here. You're using little tap buttons to specify what you want. So it's going to take quite some time to get this password in. And I'm not actually sure how to confirm. Either it wants me to enter a whole lot more information, or it's just not letting me set the password. Aha. All right, we should watch the tutorial. Apparently all I need to do is squeeze both sides. It's now going to have me enter the password again. Once you get used to it, it's not as bad to enter text on here. It just takes a minute of getting used to the interface and how you have to select letters. All right, we have a password set. The device is now unlocked. Great. Now we create a backup. Now I love this. It is going to require me to show that I understand all these things. I should store my backup in a secure location. My backup is not password protected. Anyone with access to it can access my wallet. If I lose or damage my BitBox, the only way to recover my funds is to restore from my backup. If I lose or damage both my backup and my BitBox, the funds will be lost. I should not insert the micro SD card backup into a computer, phone, printer, or any device other than a BitBox02. That is interesting. Confirm today's date. Great, and our backup is created. Now we can take out the SD card and put it in a secure location. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, as we open up the BitBox application for the first time, we're greeted with essentially a wallet, a consumer-friendly wallet similar to Trezor Suite. We can see the My Portfolio function. This is the BTC-only version, so it offers me to buy Bitcoin and not much else. Here we can receive, we can send if we have Bitcoin. We've got a nice little guide on the corner here, and it is wanting to synchronize blocks. Now that's interesting. I guess it is running off an internal node, which would be very, very interesting. We have the extended public key if we want to watch this wallet, which is very, very important. You should not be exporting your private key ever, but sometimes you may want to observe your wallet. If it's not your main wallet you should probably never have access to because a potential attacker can hit you with a wrench knowing that you have the Bitcoin hidden somewhere. Taproot is enabled here. That's fantastic. And honestly, that's it. That's pretty much all the functionality. So very, very basic here. Allows me to generate addresses. I can show and verify the full addresses on the device. I can scroll and look at the addresses on the device. I can confirm them. And I can copy them. And that's it. This is a very, very basic interface. I'm actually surprised, impressed. If this is intentional, it's very smart. If this is unintentional because it's a newer wallet manufacturer, it's not smart. I'm not actually sure how I feel about this. I mean, I'll say it. This is an interface that my mom could use. And if you compare it to something like the Trezor, which has all these different accounts, all this different activity and a bunch of stuff happening. I mean, this looks like a bank account that was designed for elderly people. It's just, here are your transactions. Here's your history. Here's how much Bitcoin you have in this wallet. That's it. You want to receive more, buy more, or send what you have. It's dead simple. And I think that's actually cool. You know what I've decided? I think this is really, really cool. There are more advanced features hiding behind. So for example, passphrase, you can add a passphrase on here. You can change the name. You can show the recovery words. You can manage your backups. But at the initial onset, I mean, you're just looking at the 3 basic things that you need, and you don't even really need buy, but it's there. Couple of things that are standing out to me as missing right away. First and foremost, accounts. So I'm not seeing accounts. I'm seeing under the settings, there are some things that I can change. I can add different currencies. So I don't care about Euro or Swiss franc, but I do care about ILS. So I can add that. And here's what I was missing, and this is very important, managing accounts. So as you all know, I'm a big advocate of having separate accounts for a lot of different reasons. That could be security, that could be separating your work and personal Bitcoin. And I kind of fault any hardware wallet that doesn't allow me to do this. And this wallet does. And I think that's really, really important. So, kid number 1 could have a sub account and you can manage that right on this device. It's one of my favorite features about the Trezor. And that's right baked in here. You can rename these accounts, which is important as well. Being able to do that and have different sub accounts for different people in your family or whatever. So those settings are there. They're tucked away. Things like custom fees, very, very important. I want to be able to set the fees. I don't want to go on the recommendation. If a transaction is not prioritized for me, it's not super urgent, I want to set the fees as low as possible. So that's really, really cool. Again, the ability to add as many accounts as I want, super important. Coin control. Now, this is really, really an advanced feature. If you want to have coin control, and I'll explain what coin control is, coin control means I want to actually spend a specific coin. Now, this can be really important for tax purposes. I'm not a tax professional, but let's say, for example, you bought some Bitcoin in 2017, and then you bought some in 2020, and you want to sell the stuff you bought in 2020 at a loss because currently there's no wash sale rules on Bitcoin. You want to specifically sell that Bitcoin, and you want to be able to prove to the tax regime in your country that you sold that Bitcoin, not the Bitcoin in 2017. Well, on the default Trezor suite and a lot of other very, very advanced wallets, unless you connect through Electrum, which is a separate app than the one they provide, you cannot specifically send a specific piece of Bitcoin or amount of Bitcoin from a specific UTXO or unspent transaction output. But here you can. I can enable coin control, and when I send funds, I can actually use a specific coin. That's really, really cool. Another cool feature that's advanced is enabling a Tor proxy. So I can route my traffic through Tor if I want more privacy. And this one just takes the cake, honestly, because Trezor didn't enable this up until like 6 months ago, and people have wanted this for a long time. The ability to connect your own node. So if you're running an Umbrel, Citadel, MyNode, you want to use your own node because you don't want to expose which transactions and addresses are of value to you to anyone. So ShiftCrypto is obviously running their own node. You could use anyone else's node like Electrum, you could use Blue Wallet, whatever. But here you're given the option of using your own node, and that's so incredibly important. Now, it does appear to me that it's only using clear web nodes. I'd have to check on that, but really, really incredible that you are able to use your own node because that's a much more advanced feature for more advanced users. So overall, there are some really powerful advanced features hiding under the settings menu. And while this is no way as advanced as some of the other hardware wallets, it kind of is giving you everything that you need all in one very, very simple and easy to use dashboard. Now, while we're on the topic of software, very, very important for us to talk about being open source. There are some very popular wallets out there that are not fully open source, and that's a huge red flag for me, and it should be for you. I want to know that this code has been published that other people have looked at it, not only to find bugs, but to make sure that there's nothing in there that I don't want there. Now, I'm not a software developer. You may not be. So maybe you're not personally going to go through and look at the actual code, but you want to know that other people have. And so anytime I consider using a wallet, the first thing I'm going to do is go onto github.com and check and see that there is open source software and that it's not just, a small piece of the software. I want to see the firmware. This is what's actually running on the device right now. And I can verify, that this is the version, this release is the version that I've just downloaded. And I can look and see that all the different hardware and firmware and software, it's all been published. It's all available for the public and people are able to actually look at it. You can even see the PCB schematics. Those are open source. There's nothing hiding here. I can see exactly how the hardware has been built, and I love that. There's a bill of materials. There's an X-ray showing that what they claim is actually, what they claim is in the device is actually in the device. The secure element that they claim is in the device, actually in the device. Hats off to BitBox because this is the right way to do it. I've reviewed wallets in the past and completely deadpanned them because they don't have this. This should be the standard. This is how it has to be. And it's not just the BitBox firmware, it's also the wallet app. So I can look in, see the actual code, and I can see that other people are watching, that other people have forked this. I can check and see what the issues are. This is all open, above board, on the table. There's nothing hiding here. And I can see that there are other people who are contributing to this software. It is not just the BitBox team, which makes me feel comfortable that someone has been looking at this that understands it better than I do, and that they've not only found bugs, but they would have noticed if there was some kind of backdoor built into the software. So hats off to BitBox and ShiftCrypto, the company that makes this wallet, because this is awesome and I'm very impressed by it. I pointed out earlier that I love that BitBox does have passphrase, and I want to explain why that is. Now, of course, there is a password to actually access the device to turn it on. As I've shown, I had to set that up. But passphrase is a little bit different, and I love the way that they do this. They actually explain to you how passphrase works by showing you that a passphrase is basically a 25th word added on top of the seed. Because this can be really, really confusing. You're like, I already have a passphrase that I enter to give the computer access to the device. You can get confused between the password and the passphrase. So I love that they explain this to you and they take the time to show you why you might want to do it. The cool thing about adding this is that the backup gives full access to the wallet and it should be stored in a secure location. But since a passphrase creates a new wallet using that existing seed, the passphrase wallet requires both your backup and passphrase to restore, which solves the problem of someone taking the SD and plugging it in to a BitBox and stealing the wallet. It also solves the problem of duress. If you keep your wallet in your home for small amounts of Bitcoin and you're not on complete multi-sig with multiple devices in multiple locations, someone could hold a gun to your head and say, give me all your Bitcoin. And what you can do is have a dummy wallet without a passphrase, which has a very small amount of Bitcoin, maybe 10 or 20% of your stack, and have a hidden passphrase wallet that you don't talk about, that you don't discuss. That is one option. Again, if you're storing hundreds of thousands of dollars of Bitcoin, you probably should go to multisig and Casa and things like that. But that's another option. And that's why having a passphrase can protect you and your family. It adds a layer of protection to your backup wallet as well, as I said before. But it means that if you lose that password and your wallet backup, or if you just lose the password, then you are SOL. So you need to store your passphrase somewhere very, very safe. Probably not even in a password manager unless it's a very good locally stored password manager on your own hardware encrypted. I love, 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 love how BitBox explains and shows this to you and says that every passphrase creates a different and valid wallet, meaning that on top of the accounts that you have in each wallet separated, you could do passphrases for each one of your family members and then have accounts within that. So kid number one, work Bitcoin, personal Bitcoin, wife, personal Bitcoin, work Bitcoin, and on and on and on. I just love how they have taken the time to force you to understand what you are doing here. And I love that you are setting up the passphrase on the device. It is a little bit confusing how to enter the text, but I have to say it's the most secure way because there could be a keylogger on your computer. Even if you're running a Mac, and definitely if you're running Windows, your computer could be compromised. And so I love that they're using the secure device to have you enter in the passwords. This is the right way of doing this, period. All right, now I want to talk about another very advanced feature, admittedly such an advanced feature that most of you, unless you're storing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin, are not going to use, but one that I think is important if you are claiming to be the Swiss protection kind of all around very, very solid wallet that it's clear that BitBox is proposing to be. And that is multi-signature. For those of you who don't know what multi-signature is, it's the idea that I need multiple devices and keys, whether it be my cell phone plus a Trezor plus a Ledger plus an Electrum wallet. It's this idea that I need a lot of different keys and devices to spend my Bitcoin. This is how I secure my Bitcoin. In the past, I've reviewed Casa, which is a done-for-you service that helps you navigate how to set this up properly. And there are other services out there, and you can also do this by yourself. Multi-signature basically protects you against the really extreme scenarios. Scenarios like your romantic partner stealing your Bitcoin without your consent, or you stealing it from them if the relationship goes sour, your business partner walking off with the funds, or just all kinds of things like lawsuits where you want to be able to legitimately claim that you do not have access to your Bitcoin. And of course, the $5 wrench attack where someone may, God forbid, break into your home, hold a gun to your head and say, give me all your Bitcoin. If you want to do that to me, please do not, because I legitimately cannot access my Bitcoin without a long drive to pick up multiple different devices and multiple different keys in very public places. And that's really the benefit of multi-signature. I couldn't give you all my Bitcoin if I wanted to. Now, BitBox, as we've seen, proposes a very simple solution as a hardware manufacturer with a very easy to use and not overwhelming app, but they do give you options to use the device, albeit with other pieces of software, to create a multi-sig wallet. A couple options that I found is clearly Electrum, which, as I've said before in this video and other ones, Electrum is kind of the Swiss Army knife, which will allow you to connect to every possible hardware wallet and use a lot of features like coin control, like expanding the gap on your transaction gap, whatever it's called. Electrum is the Swiss Army knife and allows you to use very, very advanced functionality. So it's no surprise that BitBox integrates with Electrum and allows you to set up a multi-signature wallet, albeit that is going to mean that you are going to have to use Electrum on your desktop, which personally, I don't really like using Electrum because I find it to be a little bit clunky and cumbersome, and I don't really like the interface. But as you can see, it's very easy to set up an Electrum wallet. You can set up however many wallets you want on however many different platforms. From 4 co-signers, you could have 5 co-signers, require 2 signatures, require 3 signatures, and Electrum will manage that process for you and instruct you on how to actually set it up. Here's your seed, here's what you need to do, and here's how you have to confirm it and all those different things. Again, Electrum, not the prettiest wallet out there, but there is another option that I did find for BitBox, and that is the Spectre wallet. Now, Spectre is kind of the next generation of Swiss Army knife wallets, and it allows you to do very, very advanced stuff like Electrum, but has a little bit of a more modern interface with the bar on the left for all your different wallets and devices and accounts. It allows you to synchronize with your own node. It allows you to add multiple Bitboxes, multiple Trezors, and it kind of connects to all these different things. Now, I've tried Spectre in the past and I haven't really gotten along with it, so I may do a separate video. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see a video on Spectre and how to set up a multi-signature wallet with many different devices. But this option is there for you, and there is a clear tutorial on ShiftCrypto's website. So if you want to set up multi-sig, which again, to me is a must-do if you're storing hundreds of thousands of dollars of Bitcoin, this is the way to do it. And it's good to know that you have options with the BitBox for different softwares that you can use. All right, now let's talk about backups, because this is not a traditional way of doing a backup. Now, there are a lot of different ways to lose your Bitcoin with a hardware wallet. You could have water damage, there could be a fire in your house, someone could steal the wallet, you could put it in your bag and it could get smashed. There's a lot of ways for this hardware to get destroyed. And that's why backups are such a crucial part of having a hardware wallet. But in the past, I've talked about how the backup is ultimately the biggest vulnerability when it comes to a hardware wallet. Someone needs a passcode, or in the case of some of the wallets I've reviewed, your actual fingerprints to open this device and use your Bitcoin. But with some of the backups out there, like the Trezor Model T, all they need to do, if you're using the standard card that they're given, is open a piece of paper and read the 24 words off of there. Now, there are different ways of solving this, from crypto steel backups, which can put a padlock right onto your backups, to having a fireproof safe in your home, and many, many more. I've even talked about Shamir Backup in a previous video, where I explain a way that you can do a sort of multi-signature backup so that someone would have to expose 2, 3, or even 5 of your backups to be able to actually restore your wallet. Now, BitBox, as I can tell, does not natively support Shamir Backup or support multi-signature without using an external different app. And so they've gone with a different approach. They've put the SD card there, I imagine, for a couple of different reasons. One, it's incredibly foolproof. It does the backup for you. There's no risk of you writing the words down incorrectly. And this is going to be a lot more durable than a piece of paper, which you could lose. It could get wet in your hands. I would imagine that this is going to be a safer way to back up your device. And you may say, well, Jonathan, someone can just plug this into their computer. Well, I, of course, checked that and found that they were using some kind of scheme for the backups, which I wasn't able to decrypt and unarchive. But that's actually besides the point, because I think the biggest benefit of doing this is people are not going to know that this is a Bitcoin backup. They may think that it's some private files, maybe it's some naked pictures of you or your partner, but they're not immediately going to think that this is a Bitcoin backup in the way that they are going to think that your Trezor card is a Bitcoin backup, especially if they're a sophisticated thief that knows what they're talking about. They're going to see that folded up piece of paper and immediately understand that that is a Bitcoin or crypto wallet backup. And so this provides an extra layer of security. Now, that comes at a cost, because you see, in order to restore this backup, I'm going to need another BitBox. And that ultimately is my problem with this. I love that you're able to restore any 24-word seed phrase to your BitBox, but if I have an emergency and my BitBox is damaged, and this is the only form of backup that I have, well, I'm going to need to hope and pray that BitBox is still in business and that they're able to get me a wallet fast enough for me to restore my Bitcoin. And if my device was stolen from me, or I don't even know where it is, I might be really, really nervous about what's happening with this device and if someone is able to figure out my password. And it's going to be a real stressful 3 or 4 days before BitBox sends me a new device to restore this backup. Now, I did see that there is another way in the software that you could get your actual seed phrase and write it down. So it may make a lot of sense for you to also have a paper backup somewhere hidden very, very well as an alternative to this. But again, I'm a little bit skeptical and worried about paper backups, and it's why I use either multi-sig or Shamir Backup for all of my wallets, because I don't want that one piece of paper to be such a huge liability. The fact that you have a option to add passphrase to this wallet means that you really don't need to worry about this any more than you'd need to worry about a 24-word seed phrase written down on a piece of paper, because if you do have a passcode, and of course, remember to back that passcode up somewhere else, finding this little drive, even if someone knows that it belongs to a BitBox and they have a BitBox device ready and waiting to plug in, is not going to be enough. So I don't worry about the argument of this being a generic format that anyone can plug in and utilize. So overall, I like the backup options. I love that they are going to allow me to create a seed phrase. I would recommend to BitBox. It would be amazing if you added the option for Shamir Backup, because that is just going to protect people against that one backup that they've created being their biggest vulnerability. Without the need for them to have a passphrase, you can have Shamir and also a passphrase as well. So it's just giving people more options. And if you're in a situation or environment where you don't have a lot of great options to store your passphrase and your seed phrase, then you want to be able to use Shamir, where you could store one of your backups on the refrigerator for all it matters, and you're still protected. I also really quickly just want to comment on durability, because this is a device that ostensibly you may be carrying around with you. And if it's not durable, as we mentioned, it will get damaged, and it may be a pricey piece of equipment to replace. And it's just a hassle, not that you don't have backup. So couple things on durability. This little USB-C port sticking out, I know from experience with other devices such as dongles on my MacBook Pro, this is just asking for trouble. Someone can't put this in their pocket and reasonably expect, with sitting up, standing down, all that it's not just going to break off. I know I have lost so many different cables on my computer because something like this has been plugged in, and I'll just move and the arm of my chair will hit it, or someone will bump my laptop. I just feel like this is asking for trouble. They've somewhat mitigated this by giving you an extension cable that you can use, but that does not solve for the fact that when I put this in my pocket, it's vulnerable. They've given me a nice little silicone sock that will protect it against dust in my pocket, but they definitely have not considered that people may want to throw this in a bag. One, because the dongle sticks out and it's just asking to be broken off. But two, just in the process of setting it down in between recording sessions on my desk with I don't know what else on the desk, I have actually managed to already scratch the screen just in an hour or two of recording. So for durability, really not very good. And especially when you consider that they're giving you these keychains. They want you to put this on your keychain. I mean, they've indicated like this is a device that you can put a keychain on. There is a keychain hole on the device. I would not want to see what this is going to look like after 6 months of carrying it around as a keychain. Recommendation for ShiftCrypto would be send this out with a silicone sleeve, or design something even that we can 3D print to cover it up and protect it, because at this rate, this is going to get destroyed. I may just consider designing and 3D printing something, which I'll put up online if I do, and I'll put in the description. But in this form factor, this thing is just going to get destroyed in day-to-day use. All right, so we're coming to the end of this review, and I actually did the entire review deliberately without knowing the price, because I wanted to be objective about the features themselves and comment on just the functionality and the user experience. And then I went to go check the price of the device, and I discovered that the unit that I was sent costs 129 euros. I assume that is plus shipping. Yeah, so getting this to my door would cost 148 euros. And so I checked and I thought about this, because that's not a ton of money for securing your Bitcoin. But then I realized that the closest comparison for this device in terms of features and functionality is really not the Trezor Model T that I have and use on some of my accounts, or the Keystone that I've reviewed in the past, but actually the Trezor One. This is a really good comparison because, like the Trezor One, it has a monochrome display. Like the Trezor One, it allows you to connect via Android, which I don't have any Android devices, but not via iPhone. Like the Trezor One, it has a Bitcoin-only firmware, and like the Trezor One, it offers designed and built in the EU functionality, as well as a desktop app and all the other things that I love about Trezor that I've talked about before. But here's the problem. The Trezor One is 69 euros. Getting it delivered to my door would be a total of 90 euros, and that's just because I'm based in Israel and shipping here is incredibly expensive. So when I compare the 69 euro Trezor 1 to the BitBox02 at 129 euros, well, I have to say I recommend the Trezor. That's not to say that this isn't a great device, because in conclusion, this is an awesome, awesome device. It's very simple to use. It offers some great features and functionality. It's up to date with the latest in Bitcoin functionality, such as Taproot, and it even gives you options for multi-sig and for all kinds of different passwords and passphrases and additional accounts. But it doesn't improve on the Trezor Model 1 from 2016. There's nothing really new about this device except maybe an SD card slot, which for me is not a revolutionary enough feature for paying twice as much. Now, would I recommend this over the Trezor Model T? Yeah, probably. I mean, the Trezor Model T does have Shamir Backup and a ton of other really cool features, such as a touch screen and, well, more coins, though that doesn't matter to me at all. Yeah, so I would recommend this. I mean, definitely worth saving over 100 euros because Shamir Backup and a touchscreen are not that revolutionary. But when I compare this to a Trezor Model 1, well, it's just not twice as good. And to me, it's just not worth twice the price. Now, I know critics will say, well, the Trezor doesn't have a secure element, and Trezor Model 1 has been hacked in the past by someone gaining physical access, whereas this has a secure element. And you may say, well, this device has different functionality and it's easier to use than the Trezor suite and less complicated. And that's true, but I'm not convinced that the secure element makes that big of a difference, because if someone gains physical access to your device, you have a whole host of other problems. And again, I'm not sure that a simpler interface is worth twice the price. So overall, if money is no object, would I recommend the BitBox? Definitely. This is a great hardware wallet. And if in the future, through economies of scale, they're able to bring down the price to closer to the Trezor 1 or even below the Trezor 1 price, I may reconsider recommending this over the Trezor. And I've been a devoted Trezor fan for the better part of a decade. But as of right now, at today's prices, I just don't see how they're going to get 129 euros for this device. But let me know in the comments below, am I missing something that makes this wallet worth twice as much? Do you think that that secure element actually is important enough to pay twice as much for the device? And which wallet would you recommend based on your own experiences? I'd love to hear, and I'd also greatly appreciate if whatever wallet you go with, use the affiliate links in the comments below and in the description to support the channel. I hope you've enjoyed this very long review, and make sure you're subscribed to receive more reviews like it. Thanks for watching, and take care.